Hey, Becca, what got you back into reading? Hey, Becca, what made you start reading again? Hey, Becca, what was the book that got you excited about reading again? Hey, Becca, what was the first book that you read when you started reading again? I'm sorry. I would love to tell you that it was just one little book that you can go and pick up and read and fall in love with reading again. But my book that got me back into reading was an 8-book series. So literally, if you know me, I love Bridgerton. I am missing one of these books because I did loan it out to a coworker, so you're welcome. When the show came out, I got hooked, and I don't know why. I usually hate period dramas, but I got hooked, and I decided to read the books because I was like, oh, like everyone online talks about how the books have like more little secrets, and I wanted to know how the next season was going to end. So I read the book, and then I read the next book, and then I read the next book, and then I read the next book, and I started a little bit of a problem. So these are what got me back into reading. And I think what it is for me, whenever I was younger, I was a huge reader. My papa would take me to the library every single day. Like, he had 5 grandchildren. He was trying to watch 4 or 5 grandchildren at a time. And he wasn't trying to entertain us, so he took us to the library. It's fine. But growing up at the library, the books that I loved as a child were Meg Cabot, Shannon Hale. I did like some mysteries and things, but majority of the time, I went towards those coming of age and romance books. I just love how cozy they are and getting to watch people's love story. So it makes sense that this is what got me back. So we're gonna go one by one through each and every book and talk about my ratings, the tropes that are present, and if I'd read it again. The main family that our story focuses on is the Bridgerton family, obviously. They are a prominent family in England during the Regency era. So Regency era, this is early 1800s. This is the time in which King George would have been king. This period drama focuses on the Bridgerton family, which consists of Violet, Edmund, and their 8 children. And yes, 8 children. Violet, I don't know what you got going on, girl, but all right. So there are 8 children. They are named in alphabetical order. So we start with A, and then we end with H, oldest to youngest. So A is Anthony, Benedict, Colin, Daphne, Eloise, Francesca, Gregory, and Hyacinth. It may be a little weird that we start with Daphne, but this is the Regency era. Girls are getting married young, boys are getting married old. It is what it is. So Daphne is the first of the siblings to get married. Along with the Bridgerton family, we also get Lady Whistledown. Lady Whistledown is a writer of a gossip column in England. So she begins publishing these gossip columns at the very peak of the first book. This gossip column is such a big deal because she's publishing people's names. Gossip columns at the time were hinting at people, but they didn't say people's names because obviously the author would receive backlash. This author is using what's that called? A pen name, I guess you could say. Not a spoiler in and of itself. If you know, you know. So Lady Whistledown publishes the secrets and the drama and all the little things that she observes within society at the time. And no one knows who she is. So she gets to publish all of the dirt and make it really, really interesting. That is why this book is so fun, is because it is so much drama. Our very first book is The Duke and I. As you can see, this is unrated. I read this book before I knew what good read was, and I really didn't rate books. I was just reading for the vibes, which is fine. I think at the time, most definitely I would have rated it 5 stars. I think looking back now as a little bit more of a seasoned writer, I probably would rate it 3.5 or 4 stars, just based on what things I look for in a romance now. I'm not saying that it's a bad book. It's an amazing book, and I do still love that book very much. I just think that this series is not going to be intellectual. It's not some like crazy thing. So it's just fun and it's just cozy. The trope in this book is a fake relationship, which I love fake relationship books. I just think that they kind of like give you that tension and almost like enemies to lovers at certain points. And they're really just trying to avoid the inevitable. And I love that trope. So if you've never read a fake relationship book, this is the perfect starting point. This basically like lets you see the genre in the most, or lets you see the trope in the most cut and raw way. Like this is the most obvious fake relationship trope. So yeah, I love this book. This is my very first book getting back into reading. And if you are looking for a romance book to get into, this is the one. Our next book focuses on Anthony, the oldest brother. And I do have to spoil something a little bit here, but I think it tells you in the first chapter of the first book, so you'll be fine. Their father, Edmund, does pass away fairly young, which leaves Anthony as the Viscount. He takes over the title of the home. So this story is the Viscount who loves me. I definitely think that if I would have had Goodreads at the time, I would have rated this 5 stars. I love this book. I love everything about it. There are parts of it that are slow, but I think you're rewarded in the end, and it's really great. This book, you get a lot more drama from Lady Whistledown, and you get to learn a little bit about her, and you're kind of like trying to figure out who she is, and it's really fun. But this book trope, I normally hate. Like girlfriend sister, fiance sister, like it freaks me out, especially because my sister is like a baby in comparison to me. She's 7 years younger than me, so I would kill someone. But it's not gross in this book because his fiance, his intendant, whatever, they share no love. Anthony does not believe in love for himself, and so a lot of this book, he is fighting love and just trying to marry the most eligible woman out there. Because he's the most eligible bachelor. He's like, I'm going to find the most eligible woman, blah, 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 blah. But in the end, he falls in love with one of my favorite characters within the Bridgerton series. She is so relatable and so fun. And I do think that I would still probably give this 5 stars. I would read it. I would. The series on Netflix is really good. But again, there's slow parts in it that you are then rewarded for. So just keep that in mind with this one. There's a little bit of slow points, but you get so much information and so much drama, which I love. And the romance is really, really beautiful. I've thought a little bit about what book I'm going to talk about third. If you go based on the Netflix series, this story is third. But if you go based on release order of the books, it is actually this one. So this is An Offer from a Gentleman. And this book focuses on Benedict, the second oldest brother. I love this book more than life. This is my favorite Bridgerton book. I think that's controversial a little bit. I'm not going to say that this is like some really unique story. This is basically Cinderella. It's not a very interesting trope. It is like pauper to princess kind of vibes. But it's my favorite one. You get to hear the story of Sophie Beckett, who is just the most humble, beautiful, amazing character ever. I love Sophie Beckett. And they actually just casted Sophie in the new season, so I'm very excited to watch. This book, 100% 5 stars, would read again. Yay! Everything about it I loved. There was never a moment where I was uninterested. It kept my attention the whole time. I love this book. I think that this is the best book Julia Quinn has ever wrote. And I haven't read all of her books, but I would say this is the best one. The epilogue is beautiful, and you get, again, a ton of information about the family. And I just, this is what all romance books should be. This book right here. So if you're going to read Bridgerton, do not stop before getting to this book. I love this book. I, again, was not on Goodreads when I read this, but 5 stars. I don't care. I don't care the day. I don't care the time. 5 stars all day, every day. I don't care. It's predictable. I don't care. It's typical. I don't care. I love it. I love it. I love it. Sophie and Benedict have my heart at all times. All right, our fourth book is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. This book focuses on Colin, which is the third brother in the Bridgerton family. You know what? I'll correct that statement. This book focuses on Penelope. If you love Bridgerton, you love Penelope. There is no conversation about it. If you don't love Penelope, you're wrong. I don't care. If you watch the Bridgerton series on Netflix, disregard every single thing that you have ever seen and just read the book instead. The show sucks in comparison. It's just a scratch for the book readers, but it's just lacking. This book is amazing. There are tropes of friends to lovers. There's tropes to girl next door, literally. Overall, it's an amazing book. And I think that if I had to rate it, I'd give it 3.5 stars. Only because I know Julia Quinn's writing, and I don't know what it was in this book. I just feel like she wasn't with it. There's parts of it that are so amazing, but there's parts of it that I'm like, it doesn't even feel like Julia wrote this book, if that makes sense. So it's like I can feel her in some of the chapters, and then some of the chapters I'm like, what? Did your editor like take over? What is this? But the love story itself is amazing. You get a lot more information about Lady Whistledown and all the rest of the characters. So I do think I would read this one again. So right now we're at 3 of 4 I would read again. So I'd say that's pretty good. Our next story is Eloise. And Eloise, her title is To Sir Philip with Love. I do believe that I did not rate this one on Goodreads either. This is all from before I was really reading anything else. And I think now I would give this 2.5 stars, which sounds terrible. I don't know, maybe 3 stars if I'm being generous. I did not love this book, but I didn't ever want to put it down either. I think that when you read a romance, you really expect it to be passionate and romantic. That's just not Eloise. And I think it's interesting that this is my least favorite of all of the Bridgerton series, because Eloise is my most favorite character of all the Bridgerton series. But I don't think it would make sense for Eloise to have a beautiful love story, like some crazy, drastic love story, because it just doesn't suit her. So I think that now knowing the characters, I don't know. Yeah, 3 stars probably. It's a little bit shorter than the other ones, you can tell. This follows tropes of found family, and I can't really figure out how to describe the other trope. So I'm just going to read you this little synopsis on the back. Sir Philip knew that Eloise Bridgerton was a spinster, and so he proposed, figuring that she'd be a homely and unassuming and more than a little bit desperate for an offer of marriage, except she wasn't. So Sir Philip is a widower. What is that? Yeah, widower. And is just trying to find someone to marry, is basically what this is. And it is very interesting how they come about, and it's kind of runaway bride aspect, which I did enjoy. But yeah, I think literary fiction wise, I love this book. Like the found family that she finds is just amazing. She's happier and it's beautiful. As a romance, a little boring, but that's Eloise, so what can you say? Our next book follows Francesca, and her story is When He Was Wicked. I love this book. I rated this book 4 stars. This was one of the very first books I rated on Goodreads. This book follows tropes of best friends to lovers. This follows, I can't tell you some of them without spoiling it too much. She is a widow, so that tells you that this is a second love story for her. And it's by no means do I think that they try to compete with the original love story for her, and I think that that's amazing. It's really, really great. This story has some characters that you will fall in love with that are outside of the Bridgerton family, so I did really enjoy that. Overall, I think there's been a lot of backlash from the Bridgerton book community on the new series coming out, so it's a little controversial, but me personally, I don't really care. It is what it is. I think it'll be a good love story either way. I do think that I don't know if I would read this one again. It was a little long to get through. The beginning is so slow because they're both in just denial about each other. So I don't think that I would read it again because it's a little bit too much of a slow burn for me. And that's definitely one of the tropes that it follows. But yeah, I would say 4 stars. This is definitely one of my more favorite ones of the series. All right, our next book is Hyacinth's book, and this is It's in His Kiss. Personally, when I read this, I wasn't a huge fan. I liked it. I think I would have said 3.5 stars. After reading the epilogue, much higher rating. I looked up the trope for this book because I couldn't really figure out what the trope was. So when I looked it up, it said, let the past burn, which I've never heard of that before, but if that's your trope, there you go. Basically, both characters are interested in each other and they do feel that attraction, but there's something in their past holding them back. And so the whole book is them kind of fighting off that past, and they kind of have a puzzle to solve, and it's almost like a shared secret amongst them that they're trying to figure out this puzzle. So it's a very interesting story. They're very much friends before they get to explore their relationship. So I do like that. The epilogue is so good. I don't care. I love the epilogue. I don't think I would reread the book, but I would, of course, reread the epilogue. So this is the 7th book in the series. I think originally I said that this was the last one. I lied. My bad. Overall, this is a very good one. I think out of all of them, I would probably say this is kind of in the middle point. It's not my least favorite. It's not my most favorite. So it's just... Our last book is Gregory's Story, and this is On the Way to the Wedding. The title gives it away. This is a abandoned wedding and runaway bride trope. They are both getting married and decide, just kidding, let's do it together. So I really did enjoy this story. I would say this is one of my more favorite Bridgertons. Not first or second, but it's up there. I did love this story. I gave this a ranking of a 4 star. I would still stand by that. This book also is best friends of an unrequited love, if that makes sense. So it's got some pretty interesting storylines in it. This is the last book in the series, and I absolutely love the way that Julia summed it all up and wrapped up everybody's story in the end. Her epilogues are always really amazing, and this one did not disappoint. All that to say, Bridgerton is what got me back into reading, and as much as this could have been a short little video about one book, it just wouldn't be true. Bridgerton is what got me back in, and I could not be more grateful to Julia Quinn for creating these characters because I absolutely love them. They have consumed quite a bit of my life. Whatever it is that's going to get you back into reading, just do it. Just do it. Once you start, you will not want to stop. Find a genre that you love, whether that's thriller or fantasy or romance. If you have a certain genre that you love and you're looking for that first starting book, I will help you find it. Please read a book. If you're listening to a book, if you're watching a book, if you're reading a book on Kindle, if you're reading the actual book, I don't care. Read a book. It is all reading and it is all amazing. So please go read a book. All right, bye.